Hello again and welcome to another week. I'm Gary Duffy and this is
Antoniolli.
and we're here to talk to you about Ipswich and what happens in Ipswich. We talk about the council report and it was released after Mr. Chimello left Ipswich this week and he's gone to Moreton.
Yes, to another problem.
To another problem. Moreton, those who don't know, Moreton Shire Mayor has been charged by the CCC, and the CEO, he also left in a hurry.
Yes.
And there's I think another councillor up there was also charged by the CCC.
Yes.
So they've got real big problems. Not as big a problem as Ipswich though, because Ipswich lost a lot of money.
Absolutely. We heard in the report, the ICP, that's the Ipswich City Properties, they lost us $78 million, which basically we have to pay as ratepayers. And that's due to them spending excessively. They spent, it was revealed, they spent $121.6 million. With that, they bought their property, the CBD, which was only worth, but it was worth 42.8 million, and the rest they spent on travel, they spent on making new plans.
That was really funny that they spent on travel, because they went to Paris, London, Dubai, Rome, they went to New York, they had multiple trips to Vancouver. They went to Massachusetts, I think, or Missouri or somewhere like that. They went to Dubai. And this was to find out plans on how to rejuvenate the Ipswich CBD, their $42 million
in the age of the internet.
In the age of the internet, and they spent $121 million was unaccounted for. And they had private jets too, didn't they? They used private jets.
Jet travel.
5-star accommodation, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm sure. And yes, and then they had these plans. I mean, they even did a survey at one stage what the people wanted. A year later, they changed the whole plan, so it didn't really matter what we wanted. At one election, they had the plan that there was a lagoon included in the whole CBD. That was scrapped very shortly after. So it was just a waste of money. Mind you, this company also run in insolvency. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, those of you who don't know, insolvency is when you can't pay your bills. The Ipswich City Properties couldn't pay their bills for 5 years. But how they got around it, they, as councillors, and because they are directors, but as councillors, they gave them a open credit line of credit for $5 million. So that means that Ipswich City Properties had an open line of credit for $5 million. As long as they had an open line of credit, they were not technically insolvent, but they still couldn't pay their bills. They had no income to pay their bills. They were spending more on maintenance and on all this other rubbish, but they could not pay any of the payments back to the Queensland Treasury. To the note for the $5 million would correctly be recognised in any other private company as being an avoidable transaction, because what they've done is they've provided themselves with a line of credit that they could never pay back. That they could never earn income to pay back, and never in a million years would they have paid back any of the money, or that was ratepayers' money, because they just kept borrowing and borrowing, loaning, giving themselves a loan. There's one stage there where the application for the change of use was made by the CEO of Ipswich City Properties, or the director of Ipswich City Properties, made to the CEO of the council, and he wrote himself a letter.
Yes.
So he wrote himself a letter saying that he approved of the change of use of the CBD. So the CEO of the council, who was the director of the company, wrote himself a letter as director of the company to himself as CEO of the Ipswich Council to approve, saying that he approved of the change of the use of the Ipswich CBD zoning areas. Have no idea how you write a letter to yourself, but he wrote it and signed it as himself, and addressed a letter to himself, which is absolutely incredible how this Ipswich City Properties work. Oh, look, you can read the report online at Ipswich City Council.
Yep.
The Queensland Times did a pretty good article on it, and what it covered was fail to declare and manage conflicts of interest or project governance.
Well, we went all the way to sexual assault. It was just very, very damning. It had everything in there, and that's the complaints we've seen just previously. Sorry, I'm jumping.
Yeah. So there were reprisals against anyone who made any complaints. At one stage, there, one section of the council, there were some people in there that they would make mannequins of these people, depicting their colour and their race, and they would hang them from the ceiling in the building.
Oh my God!
This was how bad it was. So, and the discrimination in there was so bad. The abuse of power, the misuse of the authority, the theft, the coronium, the fraud that went on. They would force people to change their timesheets. So I know of one person that was forced to work all weekend, but then made to change his timesheets so that he still only worked a 36-hour week, when in fact he worked probably about 80 hours that week, and he never got paid for the rest of it. But he was forced to do that, otherwise they were going to take a reprisal against him. So there were pressure on council suppliers to provide free and discounted services to the employees to get jobs. And there's also a lot of HR stuff. Now, we know of several several people in the HR department that were so humiliated in that council, so humiliated that when they went and saw their supervisor, the supervisor was actually an employee of the LGAQ, and they said, "Good, we finally got rid of you." And this was, I don't know how a private company employee is able to sack a council worker, but that's what was going on there. And I was probably pretty little bit upset that the unions, that the services union didn't come in and assist the staff at the Ipswich City Council. I was pretty poor on that. So, but the manipulation in the HR process and everything like that was absolutely astronomically stupid. Now, look, there's a really good article in the ABC. It's how ratepayers of Ipswich City Council, one of Queensland's fastest growing cities, lost $78 million. And it's a really good article. And in one part of the article, it says, "It is known if you didn't toe the line, you'd disappear." And we heard that a lot. We did, didn't we? We heard of people being contracts taken out of people, and
yes,
told, if you don't, you'll be floating in the Bremer.
Yes, and we unfortunately, yes, we've seen a lot of letters which we could never talk about because it was obviously private to the people, that talked of appalling behaviour and bullying, and when you left, you didn't get a reference whatsoever. So some of these people that left will actually never get a job again. I mean, that is beyond belief. Yeah.
So some of these people with degrees and everything else who come to work every day to earn a living for their family, to pay a mortgage off, and thought they had a good job, but were so threatened that when they left, the council refused to give them a reference, and if they gave them a reference, one reference was that the person had
mental problems.
Had mental problems and could not be employed again, and that was really, really bad. That this is what the council did, and they did that to set an example, so that other people knew that if they didn't toe the line, that was what was going on. So that was a really bad thing that went on in this council, and some of the letters that Connie and I have received anonymously in plain envelopes in our letterbox were just really
heartbreaking.
Yeah, they were really heartbreaking, and they enabled us to keep going. They gave us the strength to go on and fight for these people, and fight for their rights, because they were just really, really abused in there. The sexual assault and racism that we have been notified of, and a lot of it we couldn't talk about.
No.
Because there was so much going on, and I like for one day that the media actually release all the details of what went on. And I think the report was really good because it allowed people to come out.
Yes, I think it gave people the opportunity to actually talk about it, because they couldn't before. It was just all hushed up, and that the whistleblower line gave them the opportunity that they could actually confidentially complain. Because what normally happens that the complaints went, they could have written the complaints to somewhere else, and they would always come back to the council. I remember one of the complaints I made, it came back to the council. I begged with the Department of Local Government not to send them to the council. They just ignored me and sent it anyway.
So we were sending what we thought was a confidential letter disclosing what was going on to the department, Queensland Government. They were sending it back to the council, and the council was able to identify the person who made the complaint to us. So we learned really early on not to do that. So a lot of the stuff that we couldn't send it on, we couldn't do anything with it, because we knew that the local government department would send it back to the council. The council would identify that, and then they would go and target that person. So that was really bad situation, and it should never ever be like that. The other thing that would come out in the report was that the councillors had open access to everyone's email. Now, how that worked was the IT department, any email that was sent from within the council, the IT department could read every one of it, every one of those emails. So if a person in the council complained about something that happened in the council, the IT department were charged with, had control, and would give those emails to the senior staff and councillors, so that complaint was never confidential. So the councillors would then use that complaint against someone. And I know out at Rosewood there was one person who made a complaint. It was a complaint, and the council went and targeted that person, which was I think went and approached them at their door, at their house, and you know. So how does a councillor get to know when someone's had a complaint made against them, or when someone's made a complaint? It was because that they had this inappropriate access to all the emails that were in the council. So they really did run a Roman Empire there, didn't they? They just controlled everything. So everything was under their control. So there's a lot to fix up in the council, and it's gone a long way.
Yeah, I think Shamala did a wonderful job. A good. We just need to keep it going. That's basically, and do more. But we did a wonderful start.
The biggest problem with this election is that seems to be a driving force behind a lot of people to want to get in there. And when you have a look at it, that the council didn't become bad overnight, did it? It just didn't all of a sudden become bad. It was built up over a period of time. That they brought in this little tiny policy, then another policy, then another policy, then another policy. Then they found they could do this and found they could get away with doing that. And every time the Triple C or the CMC in those days investigated someone in there, they actually learned how to avoid the CMC or the Triple C finding them guilty of anything by creating a policy and a law that enabled corruption to happen and enabled them to be protected by their own policies. So if they made a policy about something that was illegal somewhere else, they could make a policy and make that action legal. For instance, they could make a policy that they could all use their cars for 100% private use, even go on holidays in it and use the fuel card to go on holidays in a private car, in a council car.
And in every local government normally this is absolutely forbidden. I mean, I worked in the government, and you even if you stay overnight, because it's easier to drive to your place and then to the place where you need to go, you need to declare that you have parked your car at your place, and all has to be business. But yeah, if you make a new policy, that's it. And it was the same with Pisali got in big trouble when he hired his wife. They just made a new policy, and all of a sudden we had a mayoress. In Australia, only the capital cities have a mayoress. No other city has a mayoress. But we made a policy especially for that, to have her on board. And I was told that you can just do that. They can just do that, and nobody can stop them. And
the thing with that policy was that it made it that to represent Ipswich people within the local government area, but then Ipswich Council paid for a trip overseas for it, paid for baggage.
Yeah, the baggage, the excess. We paid $800 for excess baggage when she came back.
From a shopping trip.
From a shopping trip, yeah, overseas. And that was not even in their policy.
But they just sweep it under the carpet and say, well, ratepayers are going to pay that anyhow. So, look, this is how it happens, and I know of in several departments in the council in the last few years before they were sacked, before the council was sacked, where a person got a job in the department. Next week later, his cousin or his brother got a job working under him, and then a couple of weeks later, we almost have a whole family running the department, and that's how the Ipswich Council worked. Like and there was nothing ever done about it. Even no matter what you raised with the state government, nothing was raised about it. And that's what we say, is that with this election coming up, you need to think really clearly about who you're voting for. And they have only got to agree on changing the policies a little bit at a time. So just a little bit at a time, they can just change the policy, and we will end up exactly where we just come from. And we don't want to go back there. So there should have been a proper inquiry into the Ipswich City Council. They should have properly pulled it apart. But Mr. Chimello and his group with Mr. Greenwood, and that who's taken over from Greg Chimello, did a fantastic job in cleaning it up. There are some steps that maybe they need to go a little bit further. But the thing was that they had to do a balance between trust in local government and cleaning the Ipswich Council up. And that's why a lot of people were dismissed from the council and no one knew about it. They were just walked out the door with no payments, no extra payments. They were just told, you know, take your hat and coat and close the door on your way out, and we don't want to see you here again. In any other organisation, there's probably would have been charges against those people, but somehow I think we would have ended up with probably hundreds of people charged, and that would not be good for the trust of government in Queensland. The perpetrators were really at the top and sort of groomed staff into doing some of this stuff, and that was really bad. So they can't. The people at the top can't do it by themselves unless they got people helping them along the way and thwarting the procurement laws and you know, just turning a blind eye and not enforcing rules and things like that. So so that was a really bad thing that came about. So look, people moving forward.
Yeah, we need to move forward, and we now know what's being revealed, what is happening. We need to learn from this, and I think all candidates need to read this very thoroughly. It's a very thorough report, so they need to read it and learn from it and understand what is actually their duty. That was one point too, that they made laws so that their duty was actually to look after potholes, after street things. That's not a duty of the councillor, that's a duty of the council. The councillor has to have make plans for the future, and that's not what they were doing. They were doing that hickory-pickory without any documentation, and some of the decisions didn't even have any reason why they did them.
Yeah.
And that's why we're in such a mess.
Yeah, there were some projects that that were put out to tender into or put through the system, the procurement system they had, that it might have been $6 million, but the final cost was 25-30% more than that. And we've seen in the courts where there were bribe offers of $1.5 million to get the jobs, and that was coming out of your money, ratepayers' money, because that was top loaded into the tender in the quote, and then paid back through a racing account or a tab account, an online gambling account, so that they put the money back through these gambling accounts, and it won't come back to the people in the council. And that was, you know, there's a fair bit to come out in the courts this year. We hope it all comes out. I think the CCC are probably not going far enough with some of their charges, and that they sort of are doing enough to look like, or to keep the calm of the community. And most likely, if they did everything that prosecuted everything that was done, the courts would be tied up for a whole year just on Ipswich.
Longer.
Yeah.
I mean, this all started 2 years ago, so
yeah,
it's already taking a long time.
Yeah. So with the $78 million, and please read that, the ABC one, and understand why we're really passionate about Ipswich, why we really care, and we've made it our passion that when people talk to us, we listen to them, don't we? Yeah. And we act on it. You might think that we don't know a lot about what goes on, but we do know almost everything that went on. And that's the difference between a lot of people who are saying, well, I'm going to, you know, open the books, I'm going to look at corruption. Well, you don't have to go there. We already know what's been going on. The administrators know what's been going on. Your jobs, if you're running as a councillor, your job is to look after the community, listen to the community, and bring that forward to the council, because it's your to bring forward the vision of people of what the city should look like. The council, the way the council runs, the way the management, the way the books run, the way everything else runs, that's up to the council. And you don't need to put your nose in there. You'll get a report, you get a budget report, you know how much money is available for your area, you know what's going on in your area. You have to be work for the people of your area, your division. And that's the best part about this 2 councillors per division, is that we'll have 2 councillors that
basically look after each other,
so
in the sense that they look out that the other person is doing the right thing as well. So it can't get uncontrolled anymore. So that we have the 2 councillors, and with the new laws that are out, if a councillor identifies another councillor as doing something wrong and does not report it, the councillor who doesn't report it is also in the wrong. So with the new laws that have come out, that a councillor is aware of wrongdoing and doesn't report it, then they are also in the wrong. But we don't want them, you know, like that. But as long as all the councillors are doing the right thing in each division, they should look after each other, they should help each other and work with each other to make sure that they're doing the right thing by the community, doing the right thing by the people, bringing the people's ideas to the council, and the council should work really good under the Local Government Act. The Act is there; it's very clear on what they can do, so they can't do that. If they keep within the Act, they're fine. There will be some for new councillors. There will also be some. They will teach them what exactly are their responsibilities. I mean, we had this online little course, but there will be more. They will be taught more, so that they can't be manipulated straight away. Yeah.
So councillors going around saying, "Well, I've got more experience than you, and you've got more experience. You know, you don't have the experience." That's not right, because after you're elected, you'll do a course, so the people will do a course on what their responsibilities are, and everyone has a different idea. So some people are more artistic, some people are more into community events, and some people are more very business minded, and some people are more legal minded, but that doesn't make you a better councillor. What makes you a good councillor is how you listen to the people and how you interact with the people in the community you represent, and that's what needs to come forward. So overall, the next council should be a good council if they all keep within the rules. We've worked hard to get you to this point where we've got a new council, and we hope that the people of Ipswich keep an eye on your councillor and make sure your councillor respects your complaint. So, any final words?
I think we covered that.
I think so. Look, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.